Okay, welcome to our November 2025 Utah Children's Care Coordination Network meeting. We have a great agenda for today. We are going to go over some announcements, and then we actually have a service highlight from the Utah Developmental Assessment Center. And then we'll move into our learning session, which today is all about support for siblings and healthy relationships. And we'll wrap up just before 9:30. So as always, if you have a chance, we would love to have you rename your profile, your Zoom profile with your agency and your position. And then if you're joining us for the first time, please also introduce yourself in the chat. That just helps us keep attendance for the meeting in the future. And then if you are not already on our listserv, it helps allow us to add you to our listserv if you include your email address in the chat as well. So for announcements, we wanted to, make everyone aware of some of the resources that Help Me Grow is providing to the community right now, especially around things like food assistance, childcare subsidies, mental health resources, and more. So this is just a little reminder that Help Me Grow is there. It's a great option if you have families you're working with that are looking for some of those resources in their lives right now. So that is the only announcement I had. Does anyone else have any other announcements they want to share with the group?
I do. Um, I
Yeah,
have case
thanks, Haley.
management training that I do every month on I guess it's the third Friday of the month. And this coming Friday it's at 11, we will be having the Housing Related Services and Support, the HRSS program, that's related to Medicaid, presenting on how individuals can access that service. So if anybody would like to attend, feel free to. You don't have to be a case manager. And then next month, they will be doing an overview of substance use disorder and services available in the state.
Great. Thanks, Haley. Anyone else have any other announcements you want to share? All right. Well, we'll move into our service highlight. Sylvia um, is going to share an update from the University Developmental Assessments Clinics. And Sylvia, did you want me to share your slides?
Sure, that would be great. Thank you, Athena.
Okay. Hopefully everybody is seeing those.
So I wanted to come on today and present to everyone on connecting with ABA therapy services after a child has received a diagnosis of autism within your clinic. My name is Sylvia Barragon. I'm the RN care manager with the University Developmental Assessment Clinics. Can we advance to the next slide? Other than ABA therapy, I also wanted to share other evidence-based interventions. If parents have any questions in regards to other therapies that they may want to talk to their providers about, other than ABA therapy, I know we have child parent interaction therapy. There's also cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the next slide, Athena. Sorry. Um, I'm sorry, I jumped forward. Let's go back to ABA therapy. Goals of ABA therapy would be improvement, function, more than anything, activities of daily living. A lot of times when I call parents, they want to just briefly discuss what ABA therapy is. And I let them know that it will be once they meet with the center that they want to talk to, that they're going to be connecting with, they will go ahead and do an assessment of their child. They'll have them complete questionnaires, and then they will develop goals for them depending on what's the most impairment that their child has at the moment. And they'll go ahead and draft up some goals for them. It could be anything from communication and language, social skills, academics, self-care skills, toileting, brushing their teeth, dressing themselves, play and leisure, um, transitioning, any maladaptive behaviors they want to work on. So they'll draft up some goals, and the parents will play a big role in those goals just because they know their child best. They'll talk to them about what ABA therapy will look like in the home and or in the center, and that'll just be based on what goals the families are, what the outcomes are. What are we working on? Are we working on activities of daily living? Are we wanting more social skills? Are they wanting the child to have access to the tools that they have at the center that they wouldn't otherwise have in the home? So all of that is going to play a big role on whether they decide if they want center-based therapy or home-based therapy. We can advance to the next slide, please. And this is what I was speaking about. If parents decide that they don't want ABA therapy and they want to talk about other interventions, they can talk to the provider about cognitive behavioral therapy, parent-child interaction therapy, and the Ruby program, which is a reinforced unique behaviors and interaction therapy that is very parent mediated intervention for challenging behaviors. And many of the ABA centers are also trained in this type of therapy, but this, of course, would be something that they would discuss with their provider, and the provider can discuss with the families and see if this is something that would be appropriate for their child or not. The next slide, please. Documents that are needed for ABA therapy services. Once the child gets diagnosed with autism, the provider will send the information over to the care management team. And then we go ahead and discuss with the families what they're going to need. We'll need the diagnostic report, a speech evaluation, audiology evaluations, and the ABA prescription letter. This is all of the information that they will need to provide to the ABA center to get that prior authorization to initiate services. Typically, it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get that authorization back from the insurance company. And then once they get it back, then that's when they will start with services. We always recommend that our families ask for a benefits investigation from that center that they're going to be connecting with in writing, so that they know what their financial responsibility will be for services prior to starting any services, even the intake process. We have had several cases where the families are told that they're contracted with the ABA center, and then after the intake, they come to realize that they were not contracted and they end up with a bill. So please always encourage that your families have what their financial responsibility will be prior to starting services. TRICARE is a little different, and I don't know how many of you have families with TRICARE. TRICARE requires different documentation, and then having not different documentation, but just a different piece of documentation, which is a DSM-5 checklist, autism spectrum disorder, that your provider will need to complete along with all of the other diagnostic documents that were discussed before and faxed over. Once it's faxed over and it's determined that yes, they received it, they will enroll the child in their autism care determination program. And then once they're enrolled in that program, they will go ahead and assign the family an autism service navigator specialist that will help families connect with an ABA provider that's contracted through TRICARE. And not a lot of centers are contracted with TRICARE, so this autism navigator comes, helps the family connect to services, so they come in handy for these families. The next slide, please. Here are a couple of resources for ABA therapy. The Medicaid Find an ABA Provider link. We also have the Utah Department of Health link and the Autism Council. And we also have the Rural ABA therapy resource, which Brighter Strides has been really great to work with for all of those families who are like in the Moab, San Juan County area. They have been able to provide services out in that area, in-person services. There are a lot of ABA centers that will provide virtual therapy services, but that's not ideal for our kiddos. I mean, kids cannot sit in front of a computer for 2 or 3 hours a day for services. Another option for families is FORDA, and they will go ahead and provide ongoing parent involvement by providing parent ABA training, and then they will bill it through their insurance. So if a provider feels like the family can do this for their children, this is another option for them as well. The next slide, please. I also have a couple of community resources here for you, like Utah Family Voices and the Utah Parent Center. They're great for helping families with initiating an IEP and or making adjustments to a current IEP after a child receives a diagnosis. They are great for advocating with families and helping them through that process and or explaining the process, initiating the request for an IEP, a written request through email, just going through all of the steps on how to request an IEP for families. Autism Speaks is also another great resource. They have the 100-day toolkit that has a lot of valuable information for our families. We also have the Intermountain Behavioral Health Navigation Line. I've found this for our care coordinators to be very, very valuable. You call them, you let them know what therapy the family is needing and what insurance they have, and they will email you a list of providers that are contracted with the family's insurance. And so then the family can go ahead, the family, or if you're helping the family, can call them and see who you can get them in with sooner. And I have used them for psychiatry for children who need med management and therapy. And I have been able to get families in within days, 3 to 4 days. We can initiate establishing care through a virtual visit, and then they'll have the family come in person at a later time just to get them established with care. I also have here the Salt Lake County Adaptive Swim, and they're able to, if they're not in Salt Lake County, provide resource for the other counties within Utah. The Shriners Wheelchair and Seating Services Car Seat Clinic is an amazing resource. They will see children with an autism diagnosis and not necessarily an orthopedic diagnosis. If you have any families that are needing a car seat and it's not covered through their insurance, the car seat clinic through Shriners will see the family, and if they can't get it covered through their insurance, they will allow the families to keep the loaner seat at no cost to the family. So this is a wonderful resource for those families who have had a hard time getting a car seat, an adaptive car seat covered for their littles with an ASD diagnosis. And that's the only clinic that will see a child without an orthopedic diagnosis at Shriners. And then we have the Primary Children's Hospital outpatient rehab line for any speech therapy, OT, PT, feeding therapy for any of our patients that are needing therapy, outpatient services. The next slide. And that's what I have for you this morning. If anybody has any questions, we will be joining Athena starting February, every other month. So if there's anything resources or any questions that you have that you would like a presentation on or more information, please send it our way and we're happy to put something together. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia. All right, let's see. I just gotta switch back to my other slides. Yeah, anybody have any questions for Sylvia? Let's see. I can open my chat now and check and see if anybody's put any comments there. You can raise your hand or just unmute yourself as well. This is a nice overview of access to ABA services. All right. Well, we'll move into our learning session for today, which is going to be about support for siblings and healthy relationships. And we have Grace Rejali and Lexie Dopp here joining us. Sorry, I got your name wrong on this slide. And they're both from the Utah Parent Center. So I am going to go ahead and turn the time over to them to share their presentation with us.
All right, thank you for having us. Thanks for plugging the Utah Parent Center earlier. I'm glad that we are a resource for everyone. We're going to talk about a couple different projects that the Utah Parent Center has outside of the ones that were already discussed earlier. So Tetons is the project I am under. It's a partnership between the Utah Parent Center and the Developmental Disabilities Council. And Teton stands for Teaching, Empowering, and Training on Navigating Sexuality and Healthy Relationships. So this is the team. We all co-teach our courses together in Tetons, and I'm the newest addition to the team. I bring my lived experience with neurodivergence and my education in disability studies to my work here at the Utah Parent Center. All right, so Tetons offers free classes for the whole disability community. Our self-advocate classes typically serve the intellectual and developmental disabilities population, but we are open to all teens and adults with disabilities and special healthcare needs. So it doesn't have to be IDD. We have people with orthopedic disabilities, with emotional disabilities, mental health, but it tends to be the population with IDD that comes through. In our self-advocate classes, we teach comprehensive sex education, which includes classes on healthy relationships. It's not really considered comprehensive sex ed unless you have the healthy relationships piece. So it's all together. Everyone can benefit from this course. In addition to giving people with disabilities critical information about sexual health, we're helping them build community. They practice their healthy relationship skills by being in class together for 12 weeks, 2 hours at a time. And they form really strong connections and use our one-on-one coaching sessions to learn how to communicate and connect in healthy ways. So we have people who are connecting in our classes and becoming friends, sometimes even dating, and then they will use our class and our coaching sessions to navigate all of these new parts of their relationships together. And it's really cool to see and be a part of and help out with. So that's our self-advocates classes. And then we have classes also for caregivers of people with disabilities and professionals. So for caregivers, our classes are geared toward educating them on what topics to teach their children when it comes to sexual health and when to teach them. We emphasize teaching sexual health information to individuals based on their age and not their perceived cognitive ability. And then for professionals, this is targeting the disability support services sector. And we explore the social bases for unwanted sexual behavior in the community and also helping them understand what kind of topics their clients need to know to have good sexual health and healthy relationships. So again, we use comprehensive sex education curriculum, and which is the most thorough with the best health outcomes. And so that means we teach consent, boundaries, internet safety, being in relationships, the human body and anatomy, hygiene and how to keep your body clean, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy, and what those things are and what they look like, doctor appointments and what to expect at them, what boundaries you should expect to have with doctors, STDs and STIs, obviously pregnancy and contraception, types of abuse. We go through financial abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and break it down and give examples of all types of abuse so that they know what it is when they experience it, if they experience it, which we know the abuse in this population is much higher, unfortunately. And then we also talk about abuse prevention and how to keep themselves safe and maintain healthy boundaries and what it means to consent and to give and receive it. So for parents and caregivers, we teach them what topics to teach their children, both teens and children and adults. So all through the lifespan, we go over all of the different topics and how to talk about it, how to address any questions they have, any behaviors they're running into, unwanted sexual behaviors that might be occurring. And then we have a huge list of resources that we give parents so they can keep the conversation going with their children after the class. So I want to just go over some of the reasons we exist now. We teach comprehensive sex education in part because it is abuse prevention. Among other sexual health outcomes that are very negative, reports of sexual abuse are much higher in the disability community. But research shows that comprehensive sex education reduces the likelihood of this occurring. We teach teens and adults with disabilities what abusive and unhealthy relationships feel like and look like, and give them the tools to leave these dangerous situations. And we also emphasize what healthy relationships feel like and look like, so individuals can really know the difference. So everyone, regardless of their abilities, has unique sexuality and sexual health. But there's a huge amount of myths that the disability community faces around sexual health. They are thought to be aromantic, asexual, oversexed, more sexually dangerous, that they don't have sexual rights or sexuality at all, that they're not able to be married, and they're not able to engage with sex education. There's research that shows that people with IDD, regardless of their IQ, benefit from sexual health education. And so anyone can take these classes and gain something, regardless of their perceived cognitive ability. Because of these myths, people with disabilities often don't get the same access to sexual health information as their non-disabled peers. So we're trying to fill that gap. So my hope is that Tetons becomes just another resource for you all to keep in your toolbox. Research shows that children with IDD lose access to sexual health information because of the biases against them, like I said. And this may also apply to people with special healthcare needs, but unfortunately the research just isn't there yet. But regardless, Utah is an abstinence-only sex education state, which means that no children are receiving comprehensive sex education in schools. So obviously you can help relieve this issue by directing patients and their caregivers to Tetons. So that's all I have for you guys today. I am happy to answer any questions you have about our classes, what we teach, how we teach, anything you're wondering, I'm happy to answer. Oh, and Lexie was kind enough to put a video that we have of our self-advocates in the chat. So please go and watch it. It's super great. We had help from one of our self-advocates to create the video. Yeah, please watch. Sorry to cut you off, whoever unmuted.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was just going to direct people to the link that Lexie put in the chat. I'll have it linked in our notes that go out as well after the meeting.
Perfect. It's a great video. It's silly and also very eye-opening. People talk really frankly about their experiences growing up with disabilities and what kind of information they received, and also what it means to them to be a sexual self-advocate, which is super cool. Alrighty. If there are no questions, I think we can move on to Lexie's.
I love Tetons. I'm such a fan, and I get FOMO. I'm like so excited. I want my brother to take it. I want to take the caregiver class when my daughter's old enough. And speaking of my brother, this is a little picture of my siblings. So I am a sibling myself, which is why I'm so passionate about this project and this information that we teach at the Utah Parent Center. The Sibling Project's about 3 years old, so it's a fairly new project to the center, but it's just so special to me. So I'm so excited to share these resources with you and this information. So the goal of the Sibling Project is to support the siblings of people with disabilities throughout the entire lifespan. At the Utah Parent Center, we serve individuals and caregivers across the whole lifespan, and the Sibling Project aims to do that for siblings as well. The three main goals that we have are giving parents information so that they can help their siblings no matter where they are, no matter what the siblings' age is. We also host sibling support groups that are called Sib Shops, that are really fun. And we also are creating curriculum and sharing information and resources about siblings becoming caregivers. Um, Next slide, please. So, when we teach parent information, we often start it with what is it like being a sibling? Obviously, parents are raising these kids. They're very familiar of what their experience is, but not from their perspective. So, two really easy ways to summarize this for you is explaining the opportunities and the challenges that siblings face. Next slide. Um, so some unique concerns and challenges that siblings have are over-identification with the disability or the illness that siblings have. They get embarrassed about different events, situations that might happen in public. They feel guilt. Maybe they're angry with the sibling and then they feel guilty because I shouldn't feel angry, but this is really hard. Shame, loss and grief, isolation and loneliness, because oftentimes siblings are the only ones of their peers that are a sibling. So it's a really isolating experience, even if, you have like the best parent and the best caregivers and a really amazing support system with so many awesome providers, you're still the only sibling other than maybe other siblings that you have because you might not have a community of siblings who get it. There can be resentment for parent, like siblings' relationship to the parent can be resentful, but also resenting the sibling. Parentification, that's like my biggest one as a sibling myself. Trauma and pressure to achieve. Next slide. But with those concerns and challenges, there's also really amazing opportunities and strengths that siblings have. They're likely to be really mature. They have a really strong sense of self-concept and confidence. They aren't afraid to like speak up and advocate. They are socially competent. Often those children that can like hang in adult conversations are siblings. They have really amazing insight, tolerance for other people and empathy, pride. It gives them vocational opportunities, like me, working in this space. They're very strong advocates and they're very loyal. Next slide. So before I move on to explaining SIB shops, I just want to drop in the chat, oops, sorry. This quick PDF that we give to parents when we're teaching them. It's just quick debriefing tips and also a feelings chart. So if you want to print these out for your families or have this link on hand, this is another really easy way that while parents are often in crisis and the siblings are fine, these are some good tips that parents can implement to really help support the siblings and their emotional needs. So one of the fun things we do to support younger siblings is host sib shops. So um, it's the goal is mainly to create a space where they can have fun and it's all about them and create community where there's other siblings. It can also be a safe place to seek information. While we recommend that is done in the home, sometimes this is the only place that they feel comfortable ex asking questions. And I love this quote from Forrest, age 10. He said, "My mom and dad didn't ever talk about my sister's sickness, but I knew something was real unhappy. At the group, I got to ask things I never asked before." So um, it's a really fun group, and we have classes every month, virtual, so that statewide everyone can come. And then we also have classes in Murray at our center, and then every quarter we'll go to a different region, a rural region, so that we can um, not care for, but hang out with all the siblings statewide. Next slide. Another way that we support younger siblings, but also the teens, is we created this sibling journal. This project was so special to me because I own a mental health tool company. And so I got to collaborate with the Utah Parent Center on this. And so it's a prompted journal where every page has a prompt. And it really helps teach siblings a coping skill where they can unfiltered write out everything that they're feeling. It's also a really good tool for parents to introduce because it creates that conversation starter so that families can say, like, I know this is really hard. This might not be normal. And this is a space where you can write about it. You can write whatever you want. If you ever want to come talk to me about it, I would love to hear, but this is like for you. So it's a really awesome tool that we love to teach kids in sib shops and also give parents so that they can share it with their kids. There's a QR code if you want to scan it. If you want physical copies, you can email the project coordinator Kong at Utah Parent Center. And we also have the download on our website. I just dropped the English version in the chat, but we also have it translated in Spanish. Next slide. And the final kind of sibling group that we talk about are adult siblings. And siblings, as they get older, their questions don't get like they don't have less questions, but they have more different questions. This is a picture of my siblings now. We're all adults. Um, some of the information that adult siblings need are respite care options, advocacy, legal issues, eligibility for services, employment and day programs, family communications, sexuality, socialization and friendships, community living and residential options, and recreation and leisure opportunities. And not only do they need these for their siblings, often they need them for themselves because siblings are aging as their siblings age, and sometimes for their parents too. Siblings sometimes care for aging parents and aging siblings. So walking into that caregiver role can be really overwhelming for siblings. Um, One resource that I forgot to add in this slide that I'll drop in the chat is we created a publication called the Siblings Becoming Caregivers Family Transition Care Notebook. And it basically, our whole team is siblings, and our goal with this workbook was to be the 90-day emergency plan. So if there was an emergency where the main caregiver for the sibling got in an accident or passed away, um, what would they need to just jump right into caregiving? Things like passwords and um, like just all the medical information, but also little things in there that the main caregiver can fill out to know about different routines. Something like Jackson, my brother Jackson, on his way home from doctor's appointments, him and my mom go to McDonald's and get like a little treat. And so if I didn't know that, that could be a whole meltdown in a really already crisis situation where I'm missing part of the routine. And then both of us are already in crisis, and now there's this huge fight. I didn't know. I feel guilty, but I'm also like mad at him for getting mad at me because I'm helping him. So just little things like that where it's kind of the 90-day plan to help that transition for siblings becoming caregivers. Next slide. We also try and educate both parents in our parent information about all of the resources and options for their kids while creating that open dialogue so that parents can plan for the future to help siblings and also create that open dialogue with not only siblings and like what do you want, but also encourage self-determination for the individual who is impacted by disabilities um, to have a voice and have a choice in what they want in their life. Because if a parent's like, oh, well, Lexie will just take care of Jackson. Maybe Jackson doesn't want to live with me. Maybe that's like his worst nightmare is to live with me. Maybe he wants to be independent or live in a group home so he has like a built-in social network. Or maybe he does want to live with me, but we don't know if we don't ask. And also, what do I want? What do my siblings want? So just creating those conversations so that we can find a path that works for everyone so that everyone is safe, everyone is healthy. Um, and I think, let's see, go to the next slide. Um, okay, so this is the last kind of resource we have for siblings who are adults is we have this sibling support group page on Facebook and we have some prompts that get dropped in there a couple times a month and it's really um fun to just, as a sibling myself, to be in that group and see what others' hard things are that were happening that week or what the wins are. Recently, I shared in this Facebook group that I went on a family trip. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and it was a really fun family trip. But there were times where my brother was overstimulated, and my 2-year-old daughter was being an adorable 2-year-old, like screaming, having fun. And it was a really unique situation for me where I'm like, okay, I'm used to like creating this bubble around Jackson so that he feels comfortable. But my like main goal in life is to not dim down my daughter's light. And so like what do I do here? Do I like take her out of the room? Do I let Jackson be an adult and he has to figure it out? So I just shared that in the Facebook group and I just felt really supported because that's not something that anyone in my family gets. Even if I'm like, "Oh, this is hard." Like my mom can say, "Yeah, I bet," or, "Jackson's fine," or "Just take Malone out." So it was really nice to be able to have that space. And I love reading other people's wins and challenges in there. And I have the link. So if you are a sibling yourself, we would love to have you in this group, but also having this link on hand, or QR code so that you can share it with other siblings who might be looking for support. And it's nice to have it just right there in the back of your mind because, we're all busy and as adults, as sibling adults get older, their lives get more busy caring for their own kids, caring for siblings, caring for parents. And so it's nice to just have that digital space to connect. But I think, let's see, next. That is all. If you have any questions about the Sibling Project, you can email me at Lexie at Utah Parent Center. And there's more information on our website. And we post fun little things on social media about the Sibling Project and Tetons as well on all of our social medias. You can find us on all the platforms at the Utah Parent Center. So thank you so much for having me. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat or email me later I'm sure these links will be included in whatever comes out. But if you need any of these links or resources later, you can shoot me an email.
Okay, do we have any questions for Grace or Lexi?
How often are the workshops happening and where do they occur?
So they happen at least once a month, and I will drop the link to the one that is coming up. Let's see.
Do you guys also have pamphlets that we can give out?
Yes, we do. Let's see. I can send Athena some of our flyers and stuff if that would be helpful. And if you email me, I can get you some materials.
Awesome,
Um,
thanks.
yes.
Also,
Do you,
oh, sorry, Athena. I was
go
just
ahead,
gonna
Amy.
the Parent Center does have a weekly newsletter that they send out. So getting on the Parent Center's email list does give all of these activities and projects that they're working on and the sib shops and all of that information. And that comes out, I'm pretty sure it comes out almost weekly.
Yes.
But that'll direct you to when these are happening.
Yeah, if you go to our website and scroll down to the little get in touch area, so if you go to utahparentcenter.org, scroll to get in touch and you can fill it out and you'll just be put on our email list. And you can select different things that you're interested in getting emails about.
Yes, I just dropped it in the chat. And so we have all of the events go out to everyone every week, like Amy said, on Mondays. So events and training would be something you want to click. And then the community information, sibling information will also be shared to that newsletter. And then Tetons will be shared in the health and medical health, or sorry, mental health, and then the transition to adulthood newsletters. So we do have a sib shop. It's not up on the website yet, but it will be, I think, like December 8th will be our next in person. And we just had one last Saturday. So we do have them every month, but follow our social or sign up for that newsletter so that you can see if they're going to be virtual, if they're going to be in person in rural areas, or if they're going to be in person in the valley in Salt Lake. And also, if any of you with your organizations are interested in hosting a sib shop and you think that would be like something that you think your community would really like, email us because we would love to collaborate as well. So if you're like, oh, we have so many siblings, we need to send them here, we'll just like do it together. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention in my slides that we do one cohort virtually a year. So in January, our adult cohort will be starting virtually. And then I believe February is when the teen one will be starting up again virtually. So for those who live further away or their mobility getting all the way to the center isn't working, they can come to virtual. So the Amy had put in the chat the Tetons website, and that you can get on the wait list so that you can sign up people, your loved ones, and we'll let you know when the next cohort comes. Awesome. I think that's it. Unless there's more questions, we did it. We're done.
I'm just looking at the chat to see if anything else came through. Lots of people have dropped good links and things in there that we'll try to capture. Since we do actually have a few more minutes, that brings me to another announcement that I'll go ahead and share just because we have some time. So our resources of the month email is one we send out every month after this meeting. It usually is links to like the meeting recording, the slides, and the resources that were shared, that kind of thing. So we're gonna we're gonna pilot a new format for that this month. So I'm just gonna give you a little preview of what that's gonna look like. It'll be a web link is what you get. It's a Trello board, and so this is just a mock-up, mind you. It won't look exactly like this when I'm done putting it together after today, but you can see here, like it'll have the meeting recording links. We'll add information about any assignments. This is a link to the slides, so I put in September's here just so you can see kind of what that looks like. You can download it as a PDF if you want a copy of the slides that were shared. And then links to resources that were shared. So again, this is from September's meeting. So we talked about provider directory as an example. But you don't have to have an account on Trello to view this. It'll be a public board that you'll just need the link to view. And we're gonna try that out. So be on the lookout for that, and then we'll try to gather some feedback from the group on it as well next month after we've had some time with it and see how it's working for everyone. So that will be coming. And then our 2026 meeting invite also hasn't gone out yet. I plan to do that today after, but we've already put together some ideas around what our topics will be for each month and the schedule. So we're excited to share that all with you. And then on our meeting next month, it's going to be about transition. And then we will also wrap up the year with it'll be the post survey for 2025 and pre-survey for 2026. So we're excited for some things coming in. We've got some good plans, I think, for 2026. So join us next month for transition, and we'll plan to see you all then. We'll just wrap up a little bit early today, unless anybody has a case to share they really want to get out there, or other announcements that we missed at the beginning of the meeting. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in December.
Thanks, Athena.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thanks.